And I think I'm serious about this. The seniors in high school are smart, especially ones that are when you're done with them, you set up a thing in the school where they
First, I'll say, my name is Kathleen Riley. This is Dawn Hagan Manning, John Vitagliano, and John Stasio. We are the initial group, if you will, that is setting up the Winthrop Citizens Action Committee. The Action Committee is with regard to the current MWRA operation at Deer Island, any future expansion, in particular right now, the new co-digestion plan that will be taking place very, very shortly. First, I'd like to say that, just as a resident, I really don't know if this meeting would have taken place without Dawn Manning. Dawn has just been so determined and just has not stopped, and is making people be accountable. The MWRA, our town government, and I personally just thank Dawn very much, and I think we all should. We passed out an agenda tonight, and as you can see on the agenda, we'll first be discussing what co-digestion is. Co-digestion is the new pilot program. After that, we'll be discussing the current traffic issues that we have and the safety issues that we have in connection with, too, how the new trucks coming through our town will just further exacerbate that issue. After that, we will be talking about really what the mission of this committee is and what we're trying to accomplish as a community. And the most important part, by far, of this meeting is community. People's questions, their comments. I truly believe, and the committee believes, for really far too long now, the MWRA in our town have not heard our concerns. They have not given us the opportunity to hear our concerns. And finally, at this point, they are going to hear us. And, about 25 years ago when this, when the Deer Island treatment plan was first started, there was an amazing group of citizens that formed a committee that talked about what the impacts of the island would be and the impacts of the primary and secondary sewage treatment we were going to have. And one of the biggest reasons why that committee was so effective, it had on it members like Gina Cerulli, members like my mother, Peg Riley, involvement, Lorraine Daly, Emile Demento, just an amazing amount. Again, I'm obviously not, covering everyone, but the point being is there was a real basis of citizen involvement, but citizen involvement in partnership with our town government and our elected officials. At that time, there were selectmen. And I feel that, over the past years, there hasn't been that partnership. And there needs to be a partnership, and there needs to be communication. There needs to be accountability for what the MWRA is doing. And we all need to talk. And if we don't discuss it, and if we don't discuss it and we don't know that they're actually instituting a new program, then how are we going to know? So really the point of this and getting us all together is to do what we did 25 years ago. I mean, I was a child, but there was many meetings held in my house. We need to come together as a community and work with Chief Flanagan on the board of directors of the MWRA, our representative. We need to work with our town government. We need to work with our town officials and tell them what our concerns are. And again, a big point for me is we have to demand accountability. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to a man I respect more than I can say, the esteemed John Vitagliano.
John, before you start, just for the safety of the Point Shirley resident, can I be assured, because it could come out in the paper, as fire chief, your second means of egress, I don't need you to take the plastic off it with the cold weather. Just assure me that it will open if we need to leave the
I will be
building.
the first one through that door.
I didn't know
Everybody else.
you will be the second one to leave.
All right, we'll be the second one. Age before beauty, I get it.
All right. Thank you, Chief, for that very important reminder. Kathy, thank you very much for the kind words. Absolutely delighted to be here tonight, to be here with you and Don and John, who are really the people who have spearheaded this. I'm just playing a very small part of that, and I really appreciate your invitation. I got started in this a few weeks ago. I was in a rehab facility recovering from heart surgery, and my good friend Cheryl Howard came in to visit me and gave me a copy of the Winthrop transcript. And with, thank you, Cheryl, and right, exactly, and had a story in it about a town council hearing that had just transpired previous week about this very issue. And it mentioned, for example, Don's terrific role, as well as town councilor Linda Callis' leadership role in that. I don't know if Linda is here tonight, but she's, as usual, has played a terrific leadership role in watching out for the interest of not only Point Shirley, but the entire town. I mean, and it was that article that really got me involved with this. And the more I look into it, the more aggravated I've become about the way, the complete arrogance that the MWRA has treated not only this neighborhood, but the entire town. I wrote an op-ed for the Winthrop transcript about a week and a half ago, and the more I've gotten involved with this, I'm totally convinced that what we're being treated about the way Putin treats Ukraine these days by the MWRA. And it's really a very ominous kind of a thing. If this were a proposal by the MWRA for a new plan that might involve a truck here or a truck there, Frank, I probably wouldn't be here tonight. But it's a lot more ominous than that. They're talking about a plan to, and by the way, this is a state-sponsored plan. It starts at the State House with the governor, with the Department of Environmental Protection, with a new program, having the MWRA at Deer Island and its other facility on the South Shore be upgraded to take responsibility for burning waste food that will be collected from all of the various waste food supplies in the entire area. That's restaurants, you name it, schools, all of it, putting it into garbage trucks, for the lack of a better term. We're talking about huge garbage trucks, taken down our local streets, brought out to the Deer Island facility for co-digestion. And by the way, one of the other aspects of this, besides the trucking issue that we will be talking about, is, for example, and this is, by the way, a quote from one of the many MWRA studies that I've gotten hold of, issues to be addressed. Will co-digestion create the potential for odors in our pests? Now, that's from an MWRA engineering feasibility study, so they're proposing to go ahead with this program without even having any idea themselves as to whether or not all of this garbage being co-digested is going to have any kind of, will produce any sort of noxious odors or be a source for rats, birds, or whatever. But they still want to go ahead with it, according to their own feasibility study. But anyhow, the traffic issue is the one that I think concerns most of us for the moment. One of the reasons that, and one of the things too that I've been able to identify, so you know, is that as bad as the program is on the surface, there is an alternative. We don't need to have any kind of trucks bringing garbage down our streets at all, because it turns out there's a water transportation alternative. Everyone here knows about it. This is an aerial photograph that I put together showing the plan with the original roll-on, roll-off ferry terminals that have been in place since day one, that have been underutilized. As it turns out, on the other side of the harbor in Charlestown, the MWRA, ironically enough, has been working with a private company to develop the analog of this facility in Charlestown to take in the waste food products in Charlestown, put them on a barge to be taken directly to Deer Island. instead of trucking. And that is, in that particular facility in Charlestown is going through an environmental approval process right now that I have gone on record of supporting. It's called a Chapter 91 approval process. And when I spoke with the director of the program as recently as 2 days ago, he assured me that that project will be online within about 2 months' time. So here we are, here in the town, if you will, talking to the MWRA about a pilot program involving trucks coming through our town. At exactly the same time, the MWRA is working on a facility in Charlestown that will provide, that could provide, if the MWRA were forced to do so, water transport from Charlestown to the MWRA facility here at Deer Island, obviating the need for any trucks at all. So there's no reason, even if we accept the need for the waste food going to Deer Island in the first place, I'm not too sure that I do, but that may well be the case. We don't have to accept one truck coming through Winthrop, since there is a water transportation alternative that is being sponsored and worked on from a feasibility standpoint by the MWRA. One of the points that I'll try to make now is that this is an issue that does not affect just Winthrop. We've worked with, for example, our neighbors in East Boston for well over 40 years. I have, and others have here as well, on issues of, for example, potential Logan Airport expansion issues. We've done a very good job of that over the last 40 years. And I reached out to our neighbors in East Boston, and they've agreed that they will be with us in any efforts that we have in trying to start this program by the MWRA. Because don't forget, those 18 trucks a day, 7 days a week that they're talking about right now, will have to come through East Boston's residential street, before they hit the Belle Isle Bridge. So I've already taken that initiative, and we are getting support from our neighbors in East Boston. So that's basically all that I'd like to say. Again, and that's the number one, I think, strategy, though, from our standpoint, is we have to make the town government, the town council, understand that there should not be one truck in any kind of a pilot program or any kind of a program dealing with the MWRA. And if that means a lawsuit against the MWRA or whatever it is that the town has to do to make sure this does not happen, then it should not happen. And that we should be appearing before the town council meetings, the regular twice a month meetings, and making that perfectly clear. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, John. At this point, Don Manning.
I don't need that. I will be way too loud if I use that. So, for everybody that doesn't know me, my name is Dawn Manning.
I'll vouch for it.
I grew up down here, down the point. I went from that street over to the beach, over to Elliott. I am one of 2 one-ways on the trucking route. So, unlike most people that live on the trucking route, I only get it one way. But that one way is one way too much for me and my family and my young children and my sidewalks and my car that has been damaged and the trees that are out front. But it's always been a safety issue with me. The MWRA has always been a safety issue with me. Not that it's never been other issues that I will not go into tonight, but it's always been safety. 5 years ago, we had a meeting at the Winthrop Yacht Club with the MWRA when they discussed a 5-year clean-out project for the eggs. They needed to do them 2 by 2, which meant trucks would be coming through to remove undesirable elements and also bring some chemicals through. But the more hazardous chemicals were to be barged. And then the fuel prices went up, and it wasn't cost effective or feasible for the barging to take place. So the couple trucks a day became a couple more, and a couple more, and then a few dozen more, and then lots more. And here we are today with what should have been maybe a couple trucks and a whole lot of barging to 5 years of intense bombardment with propane trucks that have gone unescorted, whether we mitigated that right away or by law they should be. I've seen liquefied methane trucks, I believe. I know that depending upon the solution of the hydrochlorate,
Sodium hypochlorite.
Hypochlorite.
thank you very much. Depending upon the solution concentrate, it can become a very volatile product, whether it's 5%, 10%, or 19%. So when they decided 5 years ago that all these trucks were going to be coming through our town rather than be barged, I believe our mitigation contract at that point should have been null and void, because the copy I have says nothing except a couple trucks daily and not for any of those chemical trucks. So I think all of us, well, a lot of us, not all of us, fell asleep, didn't do our jobs, and weren't held accountable for what's been taking place down there. And I think it's time we do. I've been asking for years for a safety plan. I want to know what to do when a tanker tips. I want to know if one is going 30 or 35 or 40 around the bend coming down Shirley Street on a nice sunny day, where everybody down the point's going to go to. Do we go in the house and close all the windows? Are we supposed to breathe that air? What if it's an east breeze? What if it's a west? What if it's south? What if it's north? Because if you grew up down here, you know which way the wind is going. Because you just have to listen to the planes and you know which way the wind is going. So to me, it's always been about safety. It's always been about an evacuation plan. It's always about what are we gonna do? You see now the last year, Texas, it's not just a boom and a few houses are gone. It's a mile radius. We're only 1.9 square miles. Are we even a mile radius around? So if a tanker is coming down Shirley Street in front of Mr. Gay's house, where are you, Mr. Gay? Okay, so bye. There goes Coughlin, probably a little bit of Logan. There goes the Hovermeals. Oh, bye, Bruce's. Bye, Stacy. Nice knowing ya. Let's take out the water tower. Mr. Del Vento's up there with you, sorry. And then we're going to come all the way down here and wipe out us. I don't know, but I read in one of even the old MOUs that there was a plan to be made with the local. Let me just find that, if you give me 30 seconds. The MWRA will consult with the local hospital and formulate an emergency response plan acceptable to the town and appropriate to handle anticipated emergencies at the treatment plan.
One local hospital.
Hey, but we're supposed to have an evacuation plan in here somewhere. I know it's in here about the hospital somewhere, so I just want to know how one went from 30 pages down to 4 pages, and it's not about traffic, it's not about our safety, it's not about us, and it should be, because what's going to happen?
Donna, I know it's not question time, I'm sorry. I just want to know, who's responsible for the oversight and enforcement of that document on our side?
That's what I want to know.
Right, who?
That's the
Well,
accountability.
members of the town meetings. Anyone tell us who's
That's what I
responsible for
want,
that?
We have
that's
to go to the town meetings and bring these things
accountability.
up.
That's the
What's the
word.
next one?
So that's why it's so important, Todd, that's why it's so important, the accountability of why it's gone from this down to 18 pages, down to 10 pages. Who's gonna enforce that? Who's gonna own that contract? Who's gonna say that wasn't part of that contract? That's what I wanna know. So Wednesday night, at the town forum, at the coming school, at 7 o'clock, if you call 3 people, and they bring 3 people, and they call 3 people, and they bring 3 people, that's what's gonna happen. You want numbers, people wanna see numbers, they're not gonna do anything unless there's numbers. Well, here's your chance to bring numbers. And here's a chance to finally have a meeting that we've been waiting for 5 years. The MWRA in the town, everybody's accountable. Yes?
Can I say something?
Absolutely.
I totally applaud and I totally respect you for what you're doing. I've lived down here for 35 years, okay? And I'm so glad that, you know, at different moments, everyone gets behind the rah, rah, rah of the trucks and the rah, rah, rah of this and the rah, rah, rah of that. But for the people that live down here, and I lived just before Deer Island, I can barely get out of my driveway in the morning.
You're going to enjoy it more this summer when they rip up Taft's Ave and all the side streets.
But I can't get out. I have them at the stop sign down the street tapping my bumper. Okay, tapping my bumper. I'm going down the street at 20 miles an hour with my directional on, tapping the brakes on my car because I'm pulling into my driveway, which is 2 houses before the end of the causeway.
And that's what you're going to tell the officials that show up at the MWRA
And I've been telling them
meeting.
that for years, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but for years it's gone shit.
But you haven't had me fighting for you for years.
It's gone shit.
You know what? And I feel for you, believe me, because the worst thing you can tell me is to relax, calm down, and no, you can't. Ask my mother and my husband.
No, I have to back out of my driveway and look, like my husband and I have to back out of our driveway because I'm right before the curve, look both ways, and I'm halfway out in the street and someone barrel asses down from Deer Island. It's 20 miles an hour. There's not even a stop, there's not even a sign down there that
Or a
says 20
cop.
miles an hour.
You know what? I'm going to let John take over right now because he's going to touch on that subject right now. This is John.
It's about accountability and everybody participating. These meetings don't do anything unless you go to the council meetings and like we are right now, stand there and make them take notice. Because we do get the impact down here probably more than the rest of the town. Yeah, you guys are on the truck route and you're used to the traffic, but where we live, where Bill lives, Patty and Dennis live, we're right in the corner, right in the intersection. And I've been here for 35 years, and I can tell you, it's not getting better, and it's not getting safer. It's like Don said with the MOUs, they're getting smaller, and we're just getting nothing. They're ignoring us because we won't come out and go to those meetings and say, stop. We have to make it so expensive for them that they will use those barges. $20 million pier down there rotting. If anybody's ever walked that island, those have ramps they can drive trucks onto barges and bring the trucks right onto the island. They don't even have to pump it from a barge. So there's no excuse for them to use our roads except we have fallen asleep. We haven't been active. Yes, you can.
It's not just the people that live down the point.
Right.
I've called the police numerous times. Half the tickets are issued to people that live in the town. Yep. Correct.
Absolutely.
Live in the town.
It's a speedway.
It's a speedway. So we can work with the MWRA. We can work with them. Their drivers. I saw your video about the guy going through that. I've seen that. We can work with them, but we have to get our local police to let them. You go around the Holy Rosary and that stop sign, they don't stop. I don't care whether you work at Deer Island, whether you live down Point Shirley, or whether you're going down the parking lot, you need to stop at the stop sign.
Absolutely.
You're no different than anybody else. And you can't come to this meeting and bitch about this if you're not going 20 miles an hour and you're not stopping at the stop sign. You're no different than anybody else. So all of us here need to follow the same rules, or we can't stand up and protest and be united.
Absolutely. And there's another answer to this thing too. If you notice around town, they have cameras. Now, who provides them? Homeland Security, for whatever reasons, maybe because of the trucking or terrorism. But we needed some sort of camera down here to monitor what goes on in this island. What's going in, what's going out. Catch them on film, running those stop signs. I've seen trucks go around that corner on 2 wheels. I've lost 3 trees in 5 years from them doing 180s in that small intersection because they get lost. They're not being escorted down there, and they're going down there like a bat out of hell. And then when you put in the shift changes down there, 100+ cars a shift, every day, up and down, speeding. Look at our roads. We are not being compensated nearly enough by MWRA, even just for the roads alone, never mind the safety issues and traffic lights and cameras. They're just basically just said, hey, we don't want to hear you. So it's up to us now. We have to get active, and we have to get in their face and say, listen to us. We live here. You don't. This is what we want. And let's make it happen. Because if we don't, this is wasted. And I really applaud all of you for coming out tonight. This is an awesome showing. So you're not alone. Just know that. And if you sign up like you did tonight and you look at that little card, you can go online, sign up there. We'll keep you guys informed. We won't spam you. We won't do anything. But we will inform you when there are important meetings coming up, when MWRA is going to pull a meeting. Maybe you didn't hear about it, but we'll drop you a line. We'll let you know. And we'll try and organize. And, you know, that's how we're going to beat this. We're going to beat this with sheer numbers, and like John said, he's got a good angle going with the people in East Boston. Can you see all those people in East Boston with the trucking going through there with all those lights and everything? It's not going to happen. We have to make this very expensive for them. And then they'll start using the piers. And once they start using the piers, then I want the sodium hypochlorite trucks and all this other chemical crap on those piers too. Unless there's a storm and they can't use the ocean, I want them using that because they're putting us all in danger. There is no hazmat, there is nothing for us.
Can I ask you a question?
Certainly.
Why, when they were doing all the work down Deer Island, why was one of the conditions of contract that all the material that had to be in had to be barged in and not driven through Winthrop?
I have a feeling it was bargained away. Because that was part of it. They were going to use those piers to bring the cranes in and everything.
Right, but if they made that condition because of the roads and the safety to barge all that.
It's enforcement. It's not being enforced, and it's not being going after legally either. So if you have something, it's an agreement, and they're not living up to that agreement, it's up to us.
They would do that agreement to bring those people in and the work in. Why can't they use those same piers and those same boats to barge in that
Because
material?
it's more expensive for them to use that waterways than it is to disenfranchise and abuse us.
Can I ask a question, sir?
John.
Okay,
One question.
Sure, go ahead.
This pilot program, it did not need permission, discussion, nothing? It just went right ahead?
They had one article in the Boston Business Journal about 6 months ago that I found out about. And it was the only mention about it, and they said in 6 months from now, they're gonna start a pilot program.
Because they were only legally obligated to put it in one Boston circulated.
And it wasn't the major paper of the Boston Business Journal. And I found it and I said, wow.
But I read that online.
Yeah, it was
Was the town
amazing.
notified?
Town-
Was the town notified?
I'm not sure. I mean, that would be good for someone
Is the
to,
point represented on the town council?
of course.
Can I start a pilot program and put an electric
He's on.
windmill on my house?
I'm sorry?
Can I put my own pilot program and put a windmill in my backyard to produce electricity?
If you can get clearance from Massport.
Well, did they need to get clearance from somebody?
Look, we were lucky we even have cell towers, we have cell phones at work. They just limit us
I just don't know how this
everybody.
thing got, how this thing passed.
Under the radar. That's
Because
all.
we weren't there. Now we're gonna get organized and show up at the meetings.
We weren't where?
I wasn't there when I paid my tax bill. I
I
pay my
understand.
tax bill every quarter, I
I
pay
do
my
too.
water bill every quarter, so how was I not there?
I'm talking about not being there at the meetings when these people.
I wasn't notified about the meeting. I
Exactly,
worked
and that's
full
what this
time.
is all about. We want to set up a system where we can notify everybody of upcoming events to attend the meetings, and then we can show them in
Well, why
force what we want
don't
to do.
they send me a notice when I get my tax bill and my water bill?
Water bill, it should be in the water bill.
You go.
I'm sorry, I just want to, just so we're effective, in, you know, our communication and everyone hears. So what I just wanted to say, you know, on behalf of all of us, is
Sorry.
No, oh, no, for goodness, no, again, this is not a town council meeting.
I know.
This is, no,
Sorry.
listen to, no, you don't let what I say. This is not a town council meeting, this is not a school committee meeting. You have no limit on how long you can talk if you say something that someone doesn't like. Okay? And I understand that there needs to be parameters in place for those things. But believe me, this is a community committee. We need community involvement, so believe me, we're not stymieing you. I just want to interject for a minute, and then we can't wait to hear everything that everyone has to say. But what I wanted to say was that, you know, a couple of things in us, you know, initially forming this committee. What the intent, at least at, you know, at this point, is that we want to address the current impacts that the MWRA we're having to deal with. The current impacts of the Deer Island Treatment Plant. We want to address the future impacts and what we, as community representatives, can do to affect change. There has not been, and I agree with you, you know, without pointing fingers, I don't know exactly where the disconnect is, but I can say this, and I think most people can, there has not been collective community outrage and collective community involvement to discuss these issues. We need to know about these issues. We need to know what they're doing. Don't just direct me to a website. I want my town council, my town manager, to inform me when the MWRA is proposing an additional new use to this island. We have the right to know. We have the right to know what the impacts are. We have the right, we should have, before this program was voted on at the MWRA. Again, whether it's the MWRA's fault, town council's fault, I don't know. There should have been a public forum describing what the program was.
Absolutely.
There should have been discussion about the impacts. The community should have been able to speak up, ask their questions. And that did not happen. I'm a little tired of hearing lately, our current MOU with the town expires on June 30th, 2015. I have a legal background. Just because that agreement expires on June 30th, 2015, does not preclude it being renegotiated. When there is a new additional use of this facility, and we don't know about it, we don't know what the impacts are, don't just tell me, well, the current agreement expires at this date, there's really nothing we can do. Yes, there is. But if we as a community don't come together, don't have our voices heard, it can't just be Dawn. It needs to be all of us. So when we leave here, aside from making sure you're at the Wednesday meeting, we need to stay on top of this issue. We need to stay passionate. We need to be involved. We need to let people know this is a democracy we live in. You know, there's rules and regulations that the MWRA and Deer Island Treatment Plant are under as to public notification of new programs. You know, and I just feel that there needs, one of our points of this committee, we want better communication with the MWRA, and we want better communication with our town government. And again, back again, like I said, about 25 years ago when, you know, the original MOU was negotiated, when this all started, Winthrop got benefits, and one of the main reasons why we had a successful mitigation package is there was a partnership. There was open communication, there was a partnership between the citizens, the town government, and the MWRA. Think of it. If someone, if your child is allowed to just write on your walls, and you don't say anything, they're gonna think they can keep doing it. Unless you say, that is not acceptable, and this is the repercussion for it. We need to get together. And unless we do, if we just leave this meeting and we don't hold the MWRA accountable, and we don't hold our town council accountable, and we don't hold our town manager accountable, quite frankly, it's our fault. We need to come together. So at this point is when, we're open to public comment, and Council Boyajian.
So, no, I think you're 100% right. We should hold our feet to the fire for what we're doing or not doing. And, you know, including, I don't know what happened, is that 5 years ago you think that things were mitigated in an improper direction, but the other thing, you do hold town government responsible, but let's not forget.
Can you stand up, please?
Yeah, we will.
Stand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. So let's.
And if you want to come up here,
Maybe even
yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, however people are comfortable.
I don't know.
However.
No, I think that you should hold us accountable. You should hold the town government accountable. We should be more open. But the other thing, let's not forget who passed this the solid waste thing. The legislature, the governor. It's the governor's pet project, and Winthrop has become a dumping ground for that. Whose pet project is, there's a casino, and so I'm just saying, I'm not trying to cop out, but we have the town council's reacting to things that are being done on a state level that aren't considering the impact on Winthrop. They're looking at things only at a state level. It's wonderful. We're going to get lots of cash from the casino. We're gonna clean up everything with the whole state is gonna be wonderful now that we're pulling it out of landfills, but it's all dumping on Winthrop. And so I agree that not only show up at our meetings, but we need to put pressure on the state level. That means the governor, that means, you know, that means our representatives that live in the town, that represent our town. We do need to organize and be one voice and advocate for this community as a group and put pressure and like you said, we're not going to take this anymore. I agree with you, and we need you to show up at our meetings. I mean, even with the casinos, there's a meeting on Tuesday at the convention center, and if people don't show up, it's what you said, it's shame on us. We're going to end up, you know, we're better in strength in numbers, and I think that, you know, and that's what the council would really like. I know, you know. So again, thank you.
Mr. Dines.
I think I am the only living selectman that was actually 100% involved in the sewage treatment. Stu Reddy, Harry O'Connor, and we sat up. And all I want to express to you tonight is, it's like you were trying to, with this young, hopefully you stay involved a long time, you've got a good future. But what we, at that time, of course, we were in a different form of government. We were a board of selectmen. But the point here was that when we turned to Joe Citizen, they all came forward. And when we would go marching into Boston, we had a citizen group marching with us. It wasn't just us, because we never could. We fought and fought. Mr. Boncory was part of it, and fought because we wanted the sewage treatment on Long Island for the longest time, and we lost the battle. And we are stuck with it. But the only way you're gonna get anywhere is that everybody sitting in this room, that you've got to stay involved, and the council, and you've got to convince the new form of government, because I'll agree, I'm not the greatest believer in it, that it is not functioning the way we, as citizens and lived in this town for many years, have always been able to go up and go into a hall, and we could scream and holler at each other for a couple of hours, but at least we knew what it was all about when we got through. What I want to impress upon you is, you know, I'm getting a little old, but I want to be involved. I'm all wound up again. I went to an airport hearing the other night because I had read the conservation report about, so they were going to do something with the end of the small runway over there. And I said, well, wait a minute, it doesn't read right. So I went, and boy, I started to talk, and I had more fun.
Yes.
Before I got through, they were scratching their head trying to figure, where's this guy coming from? But I did get it across that you just don't have a little private hearing with the Conservation Commission. If you're going to do something that points to small a part of a runway close to the Winthrop, then you're going to give us a public hearing so everybody in town gets their input. So I finish with that. I'm all wound up, and I hope you are, because Dave Hubbard and I, we walk that island 3 days a week. And every time I go by that pier, and believe my background was always in engineering, and I look at it and I say, what a waste. What is going on? Bring an excursion boat in or something to make it look like it's supposed to be used. And this is the answer. And if you think what is developing over in Charlestown, then I can't see any reason why we can't fight and make sure that it's botched. Now, when we first had mitigation, the trucks, of course, were always escorted. You can't believe the way the people, forget Point Shirley, the people up in Winthrop Beach when they were coming down through Veterans Road, they were actually scared to let their children out because of these trucks coming on the road. Why has it changed? It shouldn't have changed. It's no different now. So, stay with it, please. Just don't leave and go home and never come back. Get involved.
Sitting here is like 25 years ago or more, when we sat here with the MWRA, and we did win one fight. And the fight was, and you guys remember, where they were going to put the gas right down the middle of Shirley Street. If they were going to dig up Shirley Street right down to the point, and we fought and we fought and we fought and we fought together. And I will say, regardless of who's here in the council, I completely disagree with this. I have from the day one. We lost our right to speak up when we lost town meeting.
That's right.
Because we used to be able to sit with the selectmen every week, go over things, talk, and they were here with us, fighting with us, the nights that we had many, many meetings here. But we did stop that. If nothing else, if that gas pipe ever blew, we would have lost the point. And I've said it before, we have one fire down here and we can't get out of here.
Amen. And it's happened.
The first time, there was an article in the Globe, a small article in the end of May, the beginning of June, that said they were going to be barging in the garbage. And then, you know, that was it. And I read it, I put it away, and then the summer came, and all of a sudden it isn't. But we do have to have our council with us. Whether I'm for or against it, I am against the council, because the purest form of democracy is the town meeting. Read that someday. And that's just it. And that's in the Declaration of Independence before it. But anyway, we do have to, and we did fight, and we did win. So if you give up and you don't keep showing the meetings, and you don't, and I don't like to go to the council meeting because I feel like I say something and it's, okay, thanks, you said it, nice, see you later, nothing happens. We have nothing done, so.
No discussion.
There's no discussion. There's no discussion. You can't, and we did. We had many arguments at town meeting, good and bad, and it didn't matter, but things get done. And a lot of people who voted for the council didn't even realize, because they weren't interested enough to look in the book and see what was going to happen to our town. So again, all of you, please stay with it. Not just for us. Remember, if those trucks come down one of the streets down, and it's a one-way, not a one-way, but they come down and something happens to one of the big streets back there, when do they put the trucks? Where do they do it? You know, there's no room. There's no room in this town for the size of it. And those trucks are coming more and more. I have seen more trucks within the last couple of weeks. I don't know what they're delivering down there. I know, every time. It seems like if I'm out walking or anything, there are trucks coming. We have to stop it, because they would take this. They would take this section. This is our town. Fight for it.
My name is Paul Verone. I'm on the town council. And I'd like to say, we do hear you, and your voice is heard. I would also like to say that the 5-minute rule for speaking is because we have almost 17,000 plus people in this town, and it's very difficult to hear so many people in a 2.5-hour, 3-hour meeting. So, you know, if you contact one of us on the town council, we put something on the agenda or discuss it. You have Councilor Briagen here, Councilor Calla. I'm sure that we would certainly at least listen to you. I myself have had office hours. No one came. You know, there were very few people that came. So it's hard to say to us that we're not listening if no one calls, no one emails. You know, we do listen, we do care, and we will fight for you. Thank you.
And just if I may say something about that, and I totally respect, Mr. Verone, what you said in the sense of, you know, if you did have even if you didn't have 17,000 people come to your meeting, let's say you had 50. But as we know, which makes me sad, you know, that we don't have the community involvement, but when 3 people come, and you're looking out, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying the council in general, or whomever, you know, is in charge of the meeting. When you look out and you see just a couple of people that want to speak, and sometimes the feeling is, unless it's accolades, and unless it's everyone's doing a great job, and again, I'm not saying that a lot of people aren't. That is not my intention of saying that. However, when there's a couple of people there and they want to speak, I don't care. I'm speaking bluntly. I don't care if I, you know, called Linda, who's a friend of mine before, and said, hey, can I get a couple of extra minutes? I deserve that couple of extra minutes. If I want to speak, and there's clearly not many people there, let me speak. Because I've been involved in council meetings. One was as of late. And I was pretty much told to be quiet in not so many ways. Because I was probably getting over that line, and I was asking questions. Next, maybe half hour as I stayed there, people were talking about the new casino issue. And they weren't really saying anything controversial. Many of them spoke for at least 10 minutes. However, I, who was actually, happened to be that people think I was really not trying to ruffle feathers. I was actually asking legitimate questions about the budget. I was shut up. I'm sorry, that is not acceptable. And again, I respect if there's a lot of people there, you have to. Like again, thankfully here, this is a community meeting. So me and Dawn said, we'll get our sleeping bags, we'll stay here as long as people want to talk. But at a meeting, if there's a couple of people there, even if you don't like what we're saying, allow people to speak. That is a democracy. So, that's just my little background. Councilor Callis had her hand up.
Councilor Callis, Precinct 6. I wanted everyone here to know that the reason I'm here is because I do care. And I'm 100% behind everyone that's sitting up there and everyone that's sitting out here. And a lot of times, there are things that happen in this town that councilors don't even hear about until somebody even brings it up to us. So I want you to know, as far as this program and other things, as far as, you know, things that might be in a little article in a newspaper, if you don't happen to get that newspaper, or you don't happen to see that, or someone doesn't mention it to you, you know, you're not going to know what's happening either. So, and also I wanted to say, Kathleen, to everyone as well, I agree with you. I think everyone should be able to speak. They should be able to speak whatever it is that they're passionate about, and I think that, and I don't think that anybody particular on the council stops anyone. We're not in charge of the meeting. We're, you know, we're sitting there and we're listening, but you can request an extended time to speak. So if there is a lot of people there, and you know, and everyone has a lot of things to say, you know, it naturally is the benefit is to try to keep it at 5 minutes. But if you come in and you say, look, I have, you know, a presentation or a statement, you know, you let us know in advance, I don't think that anybody would stop you from saying what you need to say and how you feel. Again, you know, I plan to be at the meeting, the MWRA meeting. I know that whatever comes out of these meetings, we're going to be much stronger when we go into the next mitigation agreement that we have to, you know, work out, which is coming up next year. This agreement was made 10 years ago with the selectmen, and the current town council had absolutely no input whatsoever into that agreement. So, I mean, you know, again, we didn't realize, as we were involved at that time, we didn't realize that that agreement was cut from 18 pages down to 5 or 6. I mean, we didn't know that. We didn't know that. We started in the new form of government, and we are new. So we learn every day, and anything that you can contribute to help us, to move us forward, to doing the right things. Now, I personally will go back and speak to the council president and see if we can relax these, you know, interruptions when people are speaking, because I personally don't think that's right either. And again, whether you like what someone's saying or you don't, they have every right to voice their opinion. So I just want you to know, I'm 100% behind all of you, and that's all I can do. And you know what, Winthrop's worth it, we're worth it, so if we stick together, we can make the changes.
Thanks, Linda. Gentleman in the red jacket, sorry, I don't know your name.
That's right, my name's Ed Duggan, and I just, something came to me, we were sitting here talking, and what a citizen's bill of rights. If we were somehow able to just put together a general, you know, a list of all the things that we've talked about, that we have expectations of MWRA and or the council or whoever in terms of being citizens of this town and what we expect from these groups, as opposed to always just banging our head against them. If we tell them what we expect from them, that may give us more solid ground to stand up.
Yes.
So,
no, I think that's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Thanks.
But if we organize, put that together, as you're talking about, in groups of people, and bring it to the council, and we push it that way, then they will take the ball, and then they speak for us, because we elect them. But we have to be involved.
Yeah.
And I think the town, for whatever reason, more people feel discouraged from going up and speaking their mind, knowing that, oh, time's up, sit down. It's like you said, the old meetings were, you know, the fur flied and everybody got a chance to speak. And I understand time constraints, but still, you know, if people are discouraged, they will not show. And so we have to take it back. We have to become involved. Like the council said, you know, they're going to mitigate this thing out at some point down the road. We have to have input. We have to say, this is what we want as a town, before they tell us what we're getting.
Ma'am in the black jacket, or green jacket.
Harry went
Harry.
I'm really concerned with this whole issue here that's going on. In response to Mrs. Keller, I'd like to say this: if the town council doesn't know what's going on, then who does?
Amen.
Thank you. They have a security point, check-in point on the island. Do we have access to a log or some kind of document that says how many trucks go in there, what they're hauling, how many cars from employees?
Should be a public record.
I actually have that same question, and I was saving it
We
for
should
Chief
have it for
Flanagan,
Wednesday.
At Wednesday night's meeting.
Excellent.
So you want to save that and ask that for him at next Wednesday night's meeting?
Yeah,
Unless he has an
You
answer.
want to do it now? Yes, if you go down to the gate, they have the actual car count, truck count, UPS count, Federal Express count daily.
Time frame too?
And how do we get it?
Times, everybody signed in,
Times
and that will be public record. We can bring a sample of that Wednesday night. I wore pink to have a soothing effect on everybody. But just so everybody knows, the councilors, and again, I don't want to at all seem political, you can go into the minutes of the MWRA meetings. Just Google MWRA Board of Directors, and everything you're going to want to know from co-digestion. You can go back 8 months, but in the last little while. This came up approximately 2 months ago. I had it tabled because I said, the first that the town manager, the council all talked about this a year ago. And at that time, this was a tabletop exercise in one of the local universities using little Home Depot paint buckets and little tiny, things you bought in the supermarket to see if this was feasible. They're doing it all over the country. Waste management is becoming one of the biggest builders of co-digestion. The MWRA didn't hatch this project, and on Wednesday night meeting, we're bringing the state people who did hatch it, so you'll have a shot at them. The truck, as we all hear, the garbage truck that's going to be going through town, the truck that will be hauling it, or the similar trucks that will be hauling it, they'll all be brand new, and one of them will be at the coming school Wednesday night as well. But one of the important things I think we have to come out of this is that the folks down the point are well loaded with quality and qualified people to fight this. I think we all have to stay professional. I think you got the MWRA's attention, a lot of Don's issues, and a lot of the things that come under Homeland Security. We can't tell you there'll be a camera there, a camera there, a camera there, because they're not just looking for MWRA speeders. A lot of the MWRA employees are Winthrop residents. So I think a lot has happened. There is all kinds of safety equipment that's already been ordered that will be put up, that won't be public information, so you will see results. But I truly believe that we can seize this opportunity. None of the local politicians, when the new MWRA board director job came up with the passing of Marie Turner, I fought to have someone who was in the everyday operation of the town have a spot on it, whether it was the police chief, fire chief, or the public works director. And at this time, I really don't feel anybody here can say any of those three people aren't doing the best they can do for the town, and the town's starting to show it. I'm not going to kid you and say I didn't get stuck voting for co-digestion, because we're a 63 community organization makes up the MWRA, and I can say with great accuracy that the other 62 communities don't really care about it.
Okay.
All right, so now I sit with those other representatives. One of the biggest things, why wasn't the pier fixed? One of the biggest things that frightens the MWRA is ratepayer revolt. All right, ratepayer revolt. So what happens is, real quickly, there's a very expensive fix on the pier in the vicinity of $2 million to fix the pier.
It's not our problem.
It isn't. It isn't. But I'll tell you, on the board of directors, I don't even feel that this project may not even go on after the pilot program. So with that, but my thing is that I think the MWRA, we have the opportunity, we are forcing them now as a community to look at the whole truck route. Is it lit properly? They're supposed to be in the original 18-page agreement. There used to be a pavement document that annually we would, look at our pavement, in year to year. And as politicians come and go, or administrators come and go, that got dropped. But I came here tonight for no other reason that everybody who's going to be at the table on Wednesday night, I truly believe that we all have to be honest. There'll never be 18 trucks a day. We're not burning garbage, we're adding it to what's down there. And I'm telling you what the plan is. I'm not telling you that I'm for all this, but they're gonna be adding this to that. If this becomes a successful project, and John, you're the one who said I did some exploration, they're gonna build a pier, that is the truth. The people that we're gonna bring on Wednesday night, and I'm referring to the board members, Fred Lasky, they'll be honest. You people have concerns, you're passionate. We want to keep it all above board. We all want to keep it honest. There's no scare tactics. And if anybody is untruthful, I think they should be removed from the process, because I think we've started a new beginning, and I think you've really already tipped over the apple cart that, you know, Winthrop's up, we're going to blow it, you know, because don't wake up the sleeping giant, and that's what's happened here. So what I'm just saying is, everybody come Wednesday night, let's all talk tonight, the intelligent people and the respected people that we have in the room.
Can I respond? Excuse me. I had the first question here. I have no idea what this has to do with what I'm asking. I'm asking about the present day.
They've bought all but one the last 25 years.
Excuse me, I have a
Excuse
question.
me.
I have a question.
Wait.
I never finished. Why?
Wait a second, all right.
I never finished my question.
I understand what your question was, because you wanted to know.
But I didn't finish it.
Okay.
If you wouldn't mind, I would like to have that opportunity.
Absolutely.
They have a security desk there.
Correct.
They know which cars are coming in all day long, which trucks are coming in, what are in those trucks. And they know how often they come through. You multiply that plus 2, that's how often they come down Taft's Avenue. I speak for Taft's Avenue only, but that's my house. And we need to know how many. I already know that the bus goes by my house 67 times a day, 101 times on Saturday and 51 on Sunday. That I know for a fact. You just have to look at that little piece of paper that has the bus schedules and it'll tell you that. 478 times a week, a bus goes by my house. And usually they blow the gas right there at the corner. So we've got all that, But not to get into the personal part of it, we need facts. This is what I'm saying. When we go to one of these meetings, people can get really carried away with emotions. But if we have the facts that say there are 1,000 trucks coming in there every week, how can they fight facts? And then they want to add 18 a day on top of that? I don't care if the truck is pretty, it's brand new, Mercedes, I don't care. It's still going on the street. It's still making cracks in my brick wall.
Mrs. Vitagliano would like to answer that question.
Okay, I would love to have an answer to my question.
Could you go on the mic?
Use the mic. Oh, I'm sorry, thank you. Thank you very much. I hope I'm not taking anybody else's time. Look, I've known Paul Flanagan for a long time, and I have a great deal of respect for him, not only as the fire chief for this town, he does a fantastic job, okay? He's also a personal friend. I walk my dog by his house once in a while, his dog barks at my dog barks at his dog, and it takes me 10 minutes to get that broken, you know, but we'll talk about that later. But no, but I do have something about Paul's comments that I do want to respond to. The comment, Paul, that this is an issue that is really predominantly in the Point Shirley area is not true. Look, I've never had the privilege of living in Point Shirley. I live on the other end of town, up in the, I live at 19 Seymour Street. I'm here because this is at least a town-wide issue. In any way disrespectful for Point Shirley, it's a town-wide issue. The reason, by the way, that and the basis for my reference to 18 trucks a day, is that came from an MWRA publication that I have right here, okay, saying that in a full build-out, after the so-called pilot program is completed, okay, in a year or 3 years, whatever the heck it's going to be, they are actually talking about 18 trucks a day, 7 days a week. And that's not information that I made up or created. That's from the MWRA document itself. But it's one of the reasons that I'm here. I mean, this is just not a paper threat. This is the MWRA's program. They want to start this pilot program in June of this year, 2014, starting off with a lower number and building up to 18 trucks a day as if it's going to be a fait accompli. And that's why, I mean, look, I spent 14 years as a Massport board member. I was privileged of being appointed to the Massport board in 1978 by former Governor Michael McCarthy. And I still have the record, by the way, for the longest service as a Massport board member. And when I was on there, what we were involved with was kind of a similar set of issues. At the time, the Port Authority, back in the early 1970s, was promoting a whole series of major expansion programs, which would have, you know, doubled and tripled the overflights, not only for where I lived at the time on Court Road, but right here in Point Shirley. That's how I first got, started in dealing with the Point Shirley Association. I remember dealing with Pat McGee years ago, coming to this particular hall. The Point Shirley Association was the spearhead for the town of Winthrop. It was great. And working together, not by, talking about one isolated neighborhood after another, Court Road or Point Shirley, we all stuck together. This is what this is about too. And again, not just the town as a whole, but I'm serious about dealing with our neighbors in East Boston. And that's why I've taken the time to go out and meet with them, and totally with us, because as one of the former speakers said, this is not just a town issue, it's a governor's issue, because you're right, and at some point we're going to have to be putting pressure on the governor. Our, local elected official, Robert DeLeo, who's been a terrific supporter of this entire town on a whole variety of issues. Senator Anthony Petrostelli, who likewise has been a terrific supporter of this town and issues like this. And frankly, targeting the MWRA itself. I mean, it's a public body that meets on a regular basis, and one of the things that we ought to be thinking about doing seriously is not going to the town council meetings and, as a group, but going to the regular meetings of the MWRA en masse and letting them know what the heck we think about their plan to run an additional 18 trucks 7 days a week down our street, and letting the board of directors know about it.
I know a couple of people have their hands up, and believe we're getting. I want to just talk to someone that hasn't spoken yet to give everyone a chance. Scott Sears.
Hi everybody. My name is Scott Sears, Point Shirley, born and raised. Like many of us, we grew up swimming in the sludge in the water, and we've been tampon applicators with the cannons for the sand castles, okay? and they said that the water was all right, but I mean, the reality of it is that it wasn't. They lied to us then, and the jet fuel and the air that we've all been breathing, and how many people lost their mother due to cancer down around here, right? So, and the fathers and brothers and whatnot, so they've been lying to us about that as well, to reiterate what Dawn had said, the safety issue about the trucks and the chemicals. I mean, if there was ever an explosion or something to that extent, we'd be wiped out. I mean, there's no question. I mean, never mind the fact of the property damage that it's doing from to all our houses. My father's house, my house that I'm born and raised, 50 yards up the street. I can feel every truck that goes by and every 400 buses that goes by, and all the smog that's blown out of that thing too. And that's a tremendous concern as well. And the other issue too is all the employees. When they put the speed sign at the bottom of my street, I thought they did that for me because I was rollerblading, right? So I was trying to time myself, you know what I mean? But I didn't realize is that I was almost getting run over by the NASCAR. At 6:45 in the morning, it's a mad dash to get there. There's about 200 cars that are going 80 miles an hour. And at 2:45 in the afternoon, it's bumper to bumper, and they're going 100 miles an hour to get out, And just most recently, I was living up on Shirley Street a little bit up the way. And you can't even cross the street with those same cars that are coming from Point Shirley. Thank God I'm back to where I belong. I'm back down here.
Yeah.
But it's the safety issue. It's the pollution. We get a lot of kids down here. And those trucks have no regard for any of our safety. And it's extremely dangerous. The chemicals that they're trucking is extremely dangerous. And it is a town-wide thing. But I think being Point Shirley, we're a little bit different down here. We're a little more isolated. And I don't think that the rest of the town is as involved in what we're going through. It's kind of like out of sight, out of mind. It's not to say that there aren't a bunch of other people in the town that kind of care, and they care about this town tremendously. That's not the question. But I think that we're such a small community down here, our voice is not heard as much. So we do need the politicians. We do need the town managers or whoever's in charge to do whatever. and listen to the people that are up here. I mean, these girls, the gentlemen, thank you very much. You know, Dawn and Kathleen, they're our voice. I mean, they're tremendous. We got to back them 110%, and we really need to fight for what is ours, because we're going to lose what we have, you know, and it's just going to continually to get worse, you know what I mean? So, you know, I support you guys 110%, no doubt.
Ma'am in purple.
Ma'am in purple. My name is Luann. I'm not from the Point.
Oh, yeah.
Nipple. But anyway, the reason I'm here is a couple things. I have 3 points I just want to make. Number one, I noticed this nice man here has on a great shirt, Winthrop by the sea. So what is this? Why are we even fighting for anything except for the fact this is our home? We are constantly, I have a bumper sticker, Winthrop by the sea. What are we, this is our home. We made an agreement with them, that's the piece of paper. I'm not even for this pilot program. Who said they can bring trash in?
Right.
Who said that? I'm sorry I wasn't involved sooner, but I will be.
Yeah.
Very involved. I was born at the Winthrop Hospital. Although I grew up in East Boston, I'm back 29 years here. This is a place where it's a multi-generational. Think about yourself. I have children, went to school here. Most kids get married to other Winthrop people. It's almost incestuous. You see, they went, you know, they wanted the honeymoon to come back to the little Winthrop. So this is what we can't lose. We have a pharmacy that still will deliver your prescription. I have it done, and I hope that everybody realizes this is something that very few towns have. Would they do this in the Hunt? I don't think so. Would those people put up with this? Absolutely not. How about Marblehead? It's much bigger. They have water. Go bring this trash over there. So no, that's not going to happen. We have to do it now. And I'm going to say, I'm going to tell my neighbors, right, Paul? And I'm going to have them, I'm going to ask everybody to go around the block, 3 houses, and ask those neighbors, I'm going to ask you to do this.
Right on, yeah.
Hi everybody, I'm Cheryl Howard. I don't live down the Point, and I agree with Scott that most of us, we don't see it. We don't live it every day, but that's enough. I don't know how many trucks you see, and I like that number, but can we legally stop this pilot program and suspend it for now? And can it be stopped? Can we do that? We can't.
Why not? We have no agreement with them.
You can pick it up.
If I can, I'm not an attorney. I do work at a law firm. I know there are some attorneys. There's at least one attorney in the room I see. To mine, unless right now, the way this worked, the MWRA, the board of directors voted on this pilot program. It was unanimous vote for this to take place by the board of directors.
Of the MWRA?
So the way it happened is, and you know, if Paul, please correct me if I'm mistaken. The way it happened is the MWRA, who runs the Deer Island Treatment Plant, what they did is they've been investigating it for about 2 years, because like John had been looking at the feasibility studies and whatnot. And what they did is they had a board vote. It was a unanimous vote to go forward with this project. At that point, what they did is they sent out what's called an RFP, a request for proposals. At this point, at that next point, Waste Management won the RFP. Pursuant to the Waste Management Agreement, the way the pilot program works, it's for an initial term of 1 year, and then there are two renewal terms thereafter, which are at the sole discretion of the MWRA. So, again, Cheryl, unless I'm missing something, at this point, and I'm not saying that it couldn't be mitigated or we couldn't, try to, force the MWRA to stop this, but at this point, no, legally, unless, again, there's laws that have been broken, or maybe, and I'm looking into this too, you know, were all the correct DEP feasibility studies done? You know, hopefully they were. But really, unless there's an invalid contract, and unless it was an invalid vote, and unless they've broken some law, sadly, legally, again, I'm just a paralegal, not an attorney, we're stuck with this for 3 years. I'm not saying we can't do any. Well, to me, I say 3 years because it's a 1 year agreement, but at the sole discretion of the MWRA, it can be extended for 2 years, so it can be 3. So again, legally speaking, I'm just saying I don't see how, unless there was some laws broken, that it could be that you know, then could say, hey, we're going to continue. But again, that doesn't mean that the town can't negotiate.
I agree.
They do not have access carte blanche to our streets at all. So if they want to do this pilot program, fly it in. They're not coming on our streets. If they don't want to bring it in by water, fly it in. Go to the Mass Port, let them know they want it flown in. They're not allowed on our streets at carte blanche. That was never the agreement.
And I am 100%, yeah.
You should go before the MWRA and say, or this board, the MWRA, and say to them, you want to run a pilot program. I'm sure you've thought of how you're going to get these trucks with this trash, which we did not have an agreement for, to your facility. Our town is off limits to trash. We never agreed to it.
Yes, and we did too. It was, I don't know how, if he followed through, but Councilor Boncory actually at the second to last council meeting actually said, I'm not sure, to Mr. Lasky, I'm not sure if you're actually even allowed to do what you're doing. I think you might be violating the current MOU. But again, as for us, I don't know the next step. Sir?
Why don't we just have the police stop every truck that comes through, and then if they're scratching them, turn them away? You can't do that.
We're on landfill. We'll be sinking. These trucks are going to be so heavy.
Cheryl?
So our best option is to get them to barge it.
Absolutely.
So they can't stop it.
I don't see why.
Well, again, you could try to stop it, but I guess right now there is a pier that was constructed in connection, you know, what, 25 years ago. It is not being used. That, you know, they have, it's called a roll-on, roll-off, as John talked about. It should be barred. We don't need more additional trucks coming through the town.
I think part of their contract says that they would limit the amount of trucks that they have coming through our town. So why is that being ignored?
Because it's not, because I'll be on, again, based on our collector review of the current agreements, there is no agreement that says that. Unless there is a state or federal regulation that we haven't seen yet, our current MOU does not limit the amount of trucks that can come through this town. It does not. But
it says that they would limit it, doesn't it?
Well, and that means nothing, to be quite frank. You know, Cookie, yeah.
I'm so confused. What you just said about the pilot program and how it operated, that sounds to me like they can make any pilot program they want, and as long as the board approves it, they can shit all over us. That's bullshit. Excuse my English, but that's crapola.
Exactly.
How can this happen in this country? That they can just do anything they want. If I don't clean my sidewalks, I'm going to be fine.
Right, that's right.
Okay, I'm not a smart person, but I'm not stupid. And I voted for elected officials, and I pay taxes for the town officials to protect my interests.
Correct.
And my state rep, my governor, my mayor, whatever. And nobody gives a damn about what happens to us, but they love to come down here on 4th of July.
That's right.
They don't want to take care of us, this town. Maybe we need to succeed from it and have our own government. I live on Townsend. I have flooding. I live on Townsend. You know where it all floods, right in front of my house. Okay? I live there. I have to do it flooding, noise, and whatever else I have to put up with in this point. Love the point. However, we're neglected. I feel like an orphan child. But when it comes to 4th of July, it's everybody's sister. It's free lunch, okay? I want to charge people to come in here on 4th of July from out of town to clean up the mess that they leave. I want someone to give us new friggin' windows from the noise. Come on! And now we're going to have garbage pumped in here. I've got skunks up the kazoo under my house. And we don't even have garbage here yet. I have skunks, rodents, coyotes, beavers, you name it. They're trucking the skunks from areas and dumping them at Deer Island. Nobody gives a hoot. I pay taxes. I pay taxes. I'm part of Winthrop, but I don't feel like part of Winthrop. I'm neglected. I hate being neglected. Cecilia. Should have never closed. Right. Okay? There's a lot of things here. Those trucks are going to go from Pleasant Street, right by the Atlantis, that luxury apartment building, by Washington Street, by Mr. and Mrs. Marx's beautiful home. It's going to go down by Winthrop Yacht Club, right at the Tide, where everybody goes to breakfast. Okay? What the frig? Come on! Get off our duffs. You're telling me to go to meetings? What are these officials doing? Why wasn't there a meeting by the town officials about this?
Right.
We're all dancing around this. Come on. Where's the rest of the town?
Okay,
Court Road's here.
But you know what?
Excuse me?
Court Road's here.
Court Road.
Yeah.
This is a small meeting. This is listening to the points.
I know. But you're right, Cookie, you're right.
I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. We're going to lose our property value. Okay, then the town's not going to get taxes. Then it's going to go in the dump.
But now what we can do, and as, you know,
I'm sorry to get so riled up about this. No. But I'm sitting here listening to all this, go to meetings, go to this. I don't have time for this.
Yeah, you know,
Excuse my English.
And no,
you people all know me. You know I'm crazy a little bit. Demento is my cousin.
It's all the fumes.
So Amir's not here. She's going to come back and she's going to speak about this.
No.
Watch out.
And what it is, and Cookie, I think everyone in this room feels the way that you do.
Yeah.
But I do think, though,
we can't even get the Winthrop buses on Shirley Street to pass.
But now,
I have to pull over and let those poor babies go through.
And I think it was Bush, you know, on the awful September 11th said, you know, in the world, something to the world will hear us now. And I think right now, by this meeting, the MWRA is hearing us, our town government is hearing us, and I'm hoping that the rest of our community is hearing us. Because I agree with you.
I want an association meeting at this place a lot. We need to come together as a group for the point.
We're happy to do it.
We're
happy to do it. And this, I'm sorry, Mr.
Excuse me.
I know, Mr. Fife. Sorry, we're trying to get everyone. Mr. Fife.
Thank you.
Earlier, you were listing the materials that are in those trucks, the liquid.
Yeah.
Right. The town should, certain other parts of the town should be very interested in that. When they come over the Belle Isle Bridge, they go through the town, an accident could happen anywhere.
Right.
Maybe public safety was the key out. Maybe the police, the fire department can say, this is not safe for those trucks going through this town. An accident would wipe out, you know, such an area.
Well, when the MWRA made the first MOU, from my understanding, that's when the truck route was made.
Well, that's not a fact. Prior to the new plant being built, they were lugging chlorine down here since I was in diapers. And chlorine is far more hazardous to the population than sodium hypochlorite. If I have a sodium hypochlorite leak, I'm going to tell you to stay in your house, and we're going to open hydrants and just flush it, because it will neutralize.
Why would we allow that in this town?
Yeah.
Why?
There's
no reason why. There's no reason why we should allow that in this town.
We have carbon monoxide alarms mandated in my house by the fire department.
Right.
By the state.
By the state. But the fire department enforces it, right?
Correct.
Why aren't we enforcing, you guys enforcing the
Well, when you
other
were
stuff?
talking about allowing this, when this was tabled, it was brought back to the town huddled their attorneys and their legal representatives, and for those who have not heard the last mitigation package, which anybody here from town government was not responsible for, it basically says, take reasonable and practical efforts to limit trucks and other vehicle traffic to and from Deer Island Treatment Plant. Generally is one of the key words that lawyers refer to, respecting the parties' expectations on truck traffic and volume. So with that being said, it was very loosely worded at the time they did this document, and the law firm that represents the town said they are probably falling within those parameters. Then if the fight goes outside of that, then commerce comes into effect. And I'm not here promoting all this. I'm just telling you the conversations I've been privy to. So under the federal commerce laws, there is some other fights to be had.
I'm just going to try to follow my order, and I apologize if I'm not getting people in the right order. The gentleman in the coat, and then Mr. Turco will be second.
How you doing? Good to see you. Paul, how are you? You don't remember me. I remember you when you weren't even in any white shirt in the fire department.
I hope it was a good one.
It was good. I love working with you. My name is Mark Obashan. I'm somebody who chose to live in your town. I'm not from here. I'm from Jersey. We have lots of people with your attitude. I love you. That's a compliment. I bought my house from you. You tried to sell my house. Sorry, the economy shit the bed. And I'm a neighbor of Miss Sharkey over there. I did vote for you. Short and sweet. Follow the money is the first thing I'm going to tell you. Okay? Keep that in mind with anything you're thinking about doing. Ma'am, I love you. It's a frustration. It's a concern. It's not the general thing we should be talking about right here. Okay? So listen to what I'm saying and please just follow why I'm saying it. We are coming here to get together, which means you should be putting bullet points together what to do. We put our emails down here. So who are we supposed to email? And who can we tell who to email? Who is involved with that? Let me go. Paul, I love you. I know there's a hazmat MSDS that comes with every single one of these placards coming through here. Sodium hypochlorite is just very concentrated bleach, let's face it. But there's also peroxide, there's also methane, there's other stuff, okay? Our streets were never made for these trucks. They were never made for the buses. Where did the buses come from? Because when they were tearing it all down and rebuilding it, we had them bring in everybody who did it. They had to stage outside and be bussed in. That's how Paul Revere set up their little bus routes through here, and then we got the benefit of the bus routes. The buses are a good thing. Our infrastructure, Mr. Calla, I love you, wherever you are, but let's face it, our infrastructure hasn't been maintained, and I don't blame him. I'm saying they should be coming up with the mitigation to help maintain that. If we didn't have a gut, they wouldn't be coming through here. Okay, but people build houses. It's a nice place. There's a great beach on the other side. They come through here. It's a way of access. That's all I'm saying. So give them a reason to go the other way that makes more sense. Waste management is a very, 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 very powerful think lobby to politics, corporation, okay? Money. Money is what's, pardon the pun, driving this to this way. We as a town are being impacted. Ladies, you sell real estate here for Highland, do you not? I see you all the time. What is this doing to property values? Okay then, so there's an interest rate there for all of us who are homeowners, okay? Things like this are things that need to sort of be addressed and brought to the attention. I personally feel that we didn't get the notification we needed, and I think that was probably by design. There are 62, no wait, there's 62 communities, as was stated, that are part of the general MWRA community. Okay, we're one, and we're at the end of the road, if you will, and it all falls downhill, as they say. Okay, that's the reason there's a pipeline that goes there. And it's great. I've watched it go from, sir, wherever you are, swimming in the sludge and listening to the radio as they said, bacteria counts, don't go in the water today, okay, to hey, they can shellfish out here and we see seals coming up. Okay, it's turned around a lot. So how are we going to stop this next phase? Personally, I've got to tell you, I'm not really against the vegetable matter or whatever it's going to be eventually being put in there and being done. I will say this, there's another thing in sales called what's in it for me. What are we going to get out of this as a town for them to be able to generate more methane out there to help run their plant? Nobody, see, crickets. Nobody said, well, what?
Well,
no, but it's a great question to ask.
But you said follow the money, and, you know, I said on TV one night.
Actually, hadn't finished, but you
I'll
keep
go,
going.
please go ahead.
No, sorry, I'm a little vocal.
No, what happened was I said I drink MWRA water. I haven't drank their punch yet. The purpose behind this whole thing is they have as much methane as they need. Right now, with just human waste and those big eggs, they generate $20 million a year in methane, which in turn feeds their thermal power plant, which they make high pressure steam that heats the eggs, keeps the eggs warm, just like your own digestive system, thus the name digesters. With this pilot program, if it does work, they will build a turbine and they'll generate their own electricity, and that's the way of the future as green. With that being said, my thought on the whole thing, I could have voted no, it would have been 8-1. As we're going into a mitigation year, there's a couple of gentlemen who are the Boston appointees who are big. It's I'm going to forget his name under the pressure here, but he is big green. He's in charge of environmental affairs and energy for the city of Boston. As we move forward in the mitigation year, I need these people on my side. It's a chess game that I have my hands full because they have their own agenda. With that being said, one of the things that we do as he speaks to, and I try to allude to tonight, that we need to be organized, not just emotional. Emotional is good, but I'll tell you, the people that are going to be on the other side of the table are very intelligent individuals, and it's possible in this language here we were outmatched. Okay?
I don't think
so. We need to...
It's very clear in that first line, within reasonable...
But who interprets reasonable?
They're trapped like rats down here or something.
No, I'm sorry. If you walk your dog, I see. The reason I love this area, okay, to continue back to my little rant, is I actually do live out by McGee's Corner, and I do come out to Deer Island, and so does my wife, and we're out here pretty much 7 days a week because we use it with our dog. And we meet other people who own dogs. And we're out here all the time. Ma'am, I love you. There's rats already out here. I've reported them. They don't care. Okay, there's some really good birds that come out and get them once in a while, but that's about it.
I didn't say anything about rats.
But I'm saying they're out here already.
Okay.
So they're bringing this stuff in probably isn't going to do anything different, other than they're already there. What I'm trying to get to is simply this. Are there things that can be done? Sir, I think there are, because that language is poor and it's legalese and it was done that way on purpose. Can there be a limit as to how many trucks can even come down the gut? Probably, and it could probably be done right here in town. Sorry, we can only limit this much gross vehicle weight, this many axles, everything else subject to whatever. Emergency vehicles, people are doing deliveries like furniture and special houses, etc. There are things that can be done, let's face it. There's ways to creatively look at the solutions and find them to put the road bumps in play and make them reconsider, okay? Second thing is, Waste Management's a big company. $2 million to fix that pier and bring things through on that way, they could probably fit that bill. Okay, I'm just saying it, they can, okay? If there's a way to approach this and a way to approach people in politics who are working with people who are lobbyists, who are working for these big businesses, to redirect things to where they should be, okay? And ultimately, this town will be better off because of it. I'm sorry, it's the God's honest truth. You know, somebody said something about storms. That's a simple solution. Have 4 or 5 or 6 stored trucks of whatever there, and then replace them. If there's a storm, there's already trucks there on site. Just bring them in. You're good. It's not a big deal. You just got to look at it in a creative way to, you know, to find the solution and make it happen. Paul, I really do feel that you have a point on this, in that you're also there to represent the town and bring the information back. But as in your role and what you represent, as far as, like people said, evacuations, dealing with the crisis, etc., that falls directly at your feet, and I know it because I worked side by side with you for years. So there's stuff that can be done here, and I'm all for doing it. In my whole neighborhood, just so you know, We are all together. I called 3 of my neighbors to figure out where this meeting was when I got out of work early to find out. They all directed me here. Why didn't we come together? For crying out loud. All right. And my house shakes too when trucks go by and I'm not on the road, so.
That's in mind, I think.
Yeah, just 2 things. You know, a lot of you know I grew up in Revere. 25 years ago, they were going to put a sludge treatment plant up at Rose Quarry, going up towards Route 1. And we were told in Revere that it was a fait accompli. There was nothing we could do. It was going to happen. And the people of the city of Revere stood up and said, we're not going to let this sludge treatment plant go in there. And the city council passed a home rule petition. The late great Bill Reinstein, the state rep, pushed legislation that ultimately was signed into law by the governor, Salucci, that prevented a sewage treatment, not sewage treatment, the sludge treatment plant from going in Rose Quarry. And now it's apartments, it's something so much better. There's a fire department, fire station there for Malden and Revere. We're only defeated as a community if we agree to be defeated and we accept it. I don't buy the language that says reasonable expectations of parties doesn't give us the wiggle room as a community to go and file suit and ask for an injunction and go to the Globe, go to the Herald and say, nobody, when they signed this agreement 10 years ago or 9 years ago, nobody reasonably expected that we'd be talking about trucking food waste in a sewage treatment plant. That talks about the reasonable expectations of the parties. You can't tell me in any lawyer that's worth their salt that says we don't have at least a cognizable argument in court, you should be fired because it's incompetence. So that's number one. But the second part is we ought to be asking the town council and our legislative delegation to file legislation immediately that says the town of Winthrop has to approve of a project that allows this stuff to go through. Enough is enough. You know, we can take the sewage stuff and we understand that's there, but you know, I mean, everything happens for a reason, and the town did get hoodwinked with one of these agreements. There was language in there at one point that police details were required on all trucks. And at one point, the MWRA came in and said, well, you know, we want to get rid of that. And nobody thought to say, bing, 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 bing. Why did they want to get rid of that? Hello, it's like going to a casino. Anytime they offer you something, they're winning. Well, you know what? They asked for something, and we got nothing in return. The third point I want to make, though, is, you know, and I have great respect, Mark, for your position, but I don't believe that we should be talking about mitigation in this thing. You know, we don't want mitigation, we want quality of life. You know, and the problem is, every time the town has had opportunities in the past, particularly because of its budget problems, what has it done? It's always said, let's take the dollar in exchange for limiting the quality of life. I don't want another damn dollar from Massport for new windows. That's right. I don't want a dollar from the MWRA for them to come and say, oh, well, we're going to jam this thing down your throat and we'll give you a few, you know, 100,000 more. Take your money and stuff it. We don't want it. We want the quality of life. I live on Court Road. I don't know how the people of the Point don't lie in the streets and say, enough is enough is enough. You know, so I think, you know, you're right that we need to get the entire town together, but we need to go to the council meeting and say, we want you to take a stand, and we're asking the town council to direct the town manager to have the lawyers file suit if necessary to stop it. And even if we lose, you know, we're going to go down fighting. We're not going to roll over and play dead. We should also ask them to file legislation, a home rule petition, to give us authority over our roads so that they can't do this without negotiating with us and without us having final authority over what goes over the roads for safety reasons. And third, we should ask our legislative delegation to immediately pass legislation or try to pass legislation to say, put this thing on hold until the people of Winthrop have had an adequate opportunity to be briefed and to understand it, and finally just have final approval or rejection of it. And I think we know where we stand.
Before I let Mr. Darian speak, I just want to read you part 2 of what Chief Flanagan was reading. It also states that the MWRA and its vendors and contractors are subject to applicable state and federal regulations with respect to transport of various classes of chemicals, with primary responsibility vested in the United States Department of Transportation. So I don't know exactly what that means for the town of Winthrop, but I would think that certain things, chemicals, regardless, have to be
proper documentation.
Properly transported. Mr. Darian, and then back to you, Mr. President.
Yeah, I've been listening for quite a while, and it seems that consensus of the room is a simple thing. We want to get a lot of people to come to the meetings, a lot of people involved, and to do that, we need to boil down our message to something simple. And it seems a simple message is no more trucks.
That's
Is
right.
that something we can chant? No more trucks. No more trucks. No more trucks.
Does anybody else have something to say before I go back to Mr. Fife?
No.
Aye.
So, folks, I was going to sit here the entire time, digest everything that everyone was saying, go back to my wife who left a little bit ago or a while ago. I want to apologize for her because this is important to her too. But she's been dealing with a lot of she's in agony, agonizing pain since she left.
Take the mic.
What I stood up for was because the chief was speaking about the impact of the chemical trucks, and that's something that I've been dwelling on, and my wife and I were talking the other night, and I said, you know, it's really dangerous, and it's something we've just taken for granted. So I want to introduce myself. My name is Guy Prather. My wife Janice and I own the house that maybe a lot of you knew the McCalls lived in on Otis Street. Dawn is our neighbor next yard over from us, 2 yards over. So we've gotten to know them really well, Dawn and Keith, and adore her children. I have 2 boys of my own. My older son went to Winthrop High School all 4 years. He's in the Army now. So we're not from here originally, but we love this town as it fits our own, that we were born and raised in. You know, to equate it to that, I wouldn't dare, but we love all of you. We love this town. We fell in love with this town. I was renting on Siren Street for a couple years when she and I were dating. Once we decided to get married, we bought that house, and it was a miracle. It was just fantastic. And it's been awesome ever since. We've been there since 2008. We moved here, though, with a sense of, you know, this is awesome. You start catching on the chemical trucks. Well, okay, that's part of the deal, right? So anywhere you can possibly move is always going to be about, like, the pros and cons or calculated risks. But those of you who were already living here had to accept that calculated risk, and you're probably very mad about it. But for us, it was like, well, shame on us, you know, if anything were to happen. So my younger son used to ride his bike around here, and her children ride their bikes, and we always worry, you know, that's calculated risk. They're out on their own, are they going to get hit by one of the trucks? Or a speeding driver coming, you know, boozing from the night before and blazing on to work to get there on time? Yeah. But I stood up because the chief said something about the trucks, and I was going to, and I want to apologize to all of you, speak to her privately about some of my concerns and voice some ideas and whatnot. The gentleman from New Jersey spoke up, and that was inspirational to me as well because he's not from here. I'm not from here either, so I feel remiss in kind of sharing this with you. But I think the elephant in the room is just the chemical trucks themselves because from my perspective, and I have a limited knowledge of the extent to how dangerous these chemicals are, but a Google search would suffice, I think, if we know exactly the 19% of hydrochloric or whatever is being transported is, that's the biggest issue right now because our lives are potentially at risk at any given moment. The Murphys here live on that corner house, okay, where that truck makes the turn and then makes another turn.
On the sidewalk, it shakes my house.
Dennis and Patty.
And by the way, some of you may live in like historic landmarks. This beautiful section of the town is awesome. In their basement is the old track cut. Yeah, right. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. So imagine that thing breaks apart, you know, going on 2 wheels and it breaks apart and the chemicals go destroy their house. Awful. What's even worse though is it's going to go cascading down Otis Street, and part of it's going to go cascading up Taft. The worst part, though, is the chemicals. And as she said, depending on which way the wind is blowing, how many of us are in imminent peril from inhaling those fumes and dying within minutes or hours later. The direct question I want to ask the chief is, sir, do you have a contingency plan? I'm assuming you do, that has analyzed the fallout spectrum, and can you give us some sense of relief just to know that for the time being, until this is resolved, if it is ever resolved, well, how much of a risk are we at? You said chlorine was a bigger risk at one time, now that's not an issue anymore. The level of chemicals, you know, that are being transported now, what is the realistic risk if one of these trucks were to break apart and contaminate either Pleasant Street, Shirley Street, or Otis Street on down Taft? What's the risk to us?
As everybody said here, none of them are good for you.
Right.
Some of them are more harmful. They're inhalant problems. There's burn problems. The most severe chemical evacuation, again, as you talked, could be upwards of 1/8 of a mile. Upwind, which, you know, in a peninsula of a couple of 1,000 feet is a problem.
How about within like 25 to 50 feet?
Exactly. The problem that we have, and again, when follow the money, everything else, and the chief talks about mitigation, I go out the door on a good day with 6 guys, all right? The only 2 cities and towns or communities around that have their own hazmat team are the city of Boston and the city of Cambridge. That's why all of the communities in the state of Massachusetts has got 2 regional hazmat teams. Regional hazmat team to mitigate a problem like this is 35 minutes is what the expected response time is. So we are not behind the 8 ball because we rely, again, and this is the end of the earth down here, as my arguments with the other thing that's coming in Revere, is that we are geographically challenged. We don't have assistance coming from every side of our border. We have everybody coming through Revere and East Boston, and that is a concern, especially when you're coming here. The thing that it is these chemical trucks, again, they come through Winthrop, and God knows where they started from. People say they roll in at 2:30 in the morning. They could have been on the road for 3 days to get there. You know, the thing that we have going for us is the chemical industry has a tremendous track record. That doesn't mean we welcome them, but that is one of our greatest, you know, sometimes when you're a small community, you're better being a lucky community than a real good community. And we have been very lucky. But to the MWRA's sake, speaking as the fire chief, not a board member, they have done a very good job down there. They beat a plant that has all kinds of redundancies to capture problems and protect. I'm not speaking in support, I'm just saying, you know, you're a new person.
Right.
I think a lot of times they were in peril more with escaped prisoners than they were with escaped chemicals.
Listen, real quick, who's gonna pay for our hazmat suits and the respirators? Is that coming out of our taxes, or should we individually buy our own? You know, because there's a possibility that this could happen.
We need a boat.
You know?
I know,
We need a boat too with the pier.
I have to read this that came in by email really quick, and we're going to wrap up at 8:30, so I want to make sure I get to anybody's questions that haven't spoken yet. To my friends of Precinct 3, I am not attending tonight in an effort to not make this a political event. I have had discussions with some of the organizers of tonight's meeting, and we feel and agree that tonight should be a meeting of concerned residents and not have any political overtones. Tonight, I hope that you can feel free to discuss what you want and need as concerned residents about the MWRA issues that affect each of us, as well as discuss, form, and organize a true concerned citizens group or committee without a cloud of political agenda. I have full faith in Dawn, Kathleen, and John to get the ball rolling in starting this group. I will be in contact with them over this weekend to be briefed about the outcome of tonight, as well as stand ready to jump in and be involved as the group see fit. I will be at the forum on Wednesday night representing all of Precinct 3. Again, please don't view my absence as a snub, but rather as a way to have all of you feel free to express yourselves and organize with no political influence. I truly believe the voices of the people need to be heard by the MWRA and not just the politicians speaking. I want to thank Dawn, Kathleen, and John for stepping up and getting the people of Winthrop together tonight, and hope to hear and see all of you on Wednesday night. Nick Delvento, Counselor, Precinct 3. Any questions?
Oh, not about this, what he said.
Anybody that has not had a public comment yet that would like to speak? The lady in black, and then Ms. Sarah.
Hi, in order, I just wanted to say very, very important for the meeting Wednesday night, not only to have everyone here, but to have your backs. From previous experience, you are not going to beat them with emotion and just speaking out like that. You have to have your facts down. You have to know what you want. If you want the town to take the route of a lawsuit, you have to have that definitely come forward at that meeting.
Basically, I just wanted to say something like what she was saying. I think it's really important that we're very organized, and there's a lot of passion, and it's wonderful to see. However, we have to direct it properly so that we're not repetitive and they really hear us. And so I think it's important we do have some bullet points and some basic ideas. Also, there's a meeting in Boston, I think you said at some point, was there?
Like a
casino. Oh, okay.
So I just had one last thing. Do we have a minute taker or anybody who wrote down? Because I think what Mr. Turco said is absolutely what we need. And I don't know if anybody wrote it down or what we do with that.
We will actually get a copy of the videotape.
There you go. Okay, but I think, well, that's great, but someone, I don't know who would do that. I'm a someone and I would be glad to help, but I really truly believe what he said hit the nail on the head for so many of what I heard of our concerns. This needs to be stopped, not sugar-coated, not, okay, we'll come in by the boat. I think this has to be stopped until we all can be on board. So.
Yeah, no, and you're right, ma'am. What we're doing is, we literally have just been, at Dawn's table, over the past, a couple of weeks. So there's just been a small group of us, and that's why we want to have this meeting to rally everyone up and, who wants to be involved. But no, you're absolutely right. We are going to have, actually I think John's going to be the treasurer.
Yes, my job, right?
Yeah. And so we
are. Box over there. Let's fill it up.
So no, you're right, ma'am. There is going to be organization. We're just at the beginning of getting this put together. And can I just one thing I did want to mention? Yeah, one second, Cookie. One thing I did want to mention, and actually Trudy and Ian Porter made me think of it. Is that for the meeting on the next Wednesday, the MWRA Town Forum, I've been speaking with Len Cawley, who is, I would say I don't know his exact title, Community Relations, he represents like half of the state, another gentleman represents half of the state. He's really committed to making this a really efficient evening. So a suggestion, and it should be on different leaflets that you guys have, I'm happy to say it again, is if you would like to email questions in advance, his suggestion is he can, you can email them to the email that we have, and what we can do is I'm going to send those to Len, and then Len can look and see what the topics are to really pinpoint what the citizens' concerns are. It's not that he'll just address that, but just Trudy made me think of it, and Ian made me think of it. The organization is key, but again, you feel free to I'm getting the email right now. I'm sorry, so do I have it on here? I set it up, I should know. Oh, it's dearislandcitizens@gmail.com. It is on the agenda, so feel free to email any questions, and I will make sure those get to Len so he can, make this meeting as efficient as possible. Man in the block?
Yeah, hi. And this is backpedaling a little bit. I just can't accept that they just voted on they're going to do this at all, never mind bring the trucks through.
That was my first question.
Right, what?
That's what she said.
That's what I feel every day. Everyone's saying fight the trucks. I'm saying fight the whole thing. Fight them doing this at all. Is that what we're going for?
This is why we need legal representation. Like Jeff Turco said, we have to go through our elected representatives to file legislation to stop this. Because we are small, and they're going to run over us.
Yeah, they're going to try.
So we have to get our representatives to get in touch with their representatives to fight this in the courts. Because we can't accept these open-ended litigations coming at us. Why are we simultaneously? That's insane. Anything.